top dollar for a pill that would enhance our ability to remember. But we found a scientist who was far more excited about a pill that promises to do exactly the opposite. If there was something you could take after experiencing a painful or traumatic event that would permanently weaken your memory of what had just happened, would you take it? As we first reported last fall, it's an idea that may not be that far off and that has some critics alarmed and some trauma victims filled with hope.
I couldn't get my body to stop shaking. I was trembling, constantly trembling, and memories of it would just come back, reoccurring over and over and over.
Beatrice Arguedas is a subway conductor. A year ago September, she was driving her normal route on the Red Line in Boston when one of her worst fears came to pass.
Upon entering one of the busiest stations, a man jumped in front of my train to commit suicide.
Entering Park Street.
You actually saw him jump?
I saw him jump. We sort of made eye contact, and then I felt the thud from him hitting the train, and then the crackling sound underneath the train. And then, of course, my heart starts thumping.
She came into our emergency room afterwards, very upset, no physical injury, entirely a psychological trauma.
Dr. Roger Pittman is a psychiatrist at Harvard Medical School who has studied and treated patients with post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, for 25 years.
They're caught up so much with this past event that's constantly in their mind. They're living it over and over and over if it's happening again, and they just can't get involved in real life.
When Beatrice arrived in the emergency room, Pittman enrolled her in an experimental study of a drug called propranolol, a medication commonly used for high blood pressure and unofficially for stage fright. Pittman thought it might do something almost magical, trick Beatrice's brain into making a weaker memory of the event she had just experienced. In the study that is still underway, half the subjects get propranolol, half get placebo. Do you know whether she got the drug?
No idea.
You have no idea?
We have no idea, and she has no idea.
To this day?
We won't know for another 2 years.
If Pittman is right, the results could fundamentally change the way accident victims, rape victims, even soldiers are treated after they experience trauma. The story begins with some surprising discoveries about memory. It turns out our memories are sort of like Jell-O. They take time to solidify in our brains. And while they're setting, it's possible to make them stronger or weaker. It all depends on the stress hormone adrenaline. The man who discovered this is James McGaugh, a professor of neurobiology at the University of California, Irvine. McGaugh studies memory in rats, and he invited us to watch the making of a rat memory. In this case, how a rat who's never been in this